Greetings, terrestrials! The day is January 21st, 2021, and these are some strange times indeed. I, of course, am Cliff McCallister, the Czar of the Bizarre, and your host of Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. Every week on this show, we explore the unseen, the unknown, the things that we can't quite explain. Be it UFOs, extraterrestrials, interdimensional beings, cryptids, ghosts, Sasquatch, Mothmen, psychics, incredible dreams, whatever it is, we take your calls every week, right here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. Now, of course, the Czar of the Bizarre, I'm here to give you a tour of our world, to welcome you into the land of the strange, and I do so gladly every week. Bring you into this world guided by the director, and of course with the help of our producer, Kevin Cole, and our technical director, Stephen Craig. We are having an incredible night here. Whoa, look at that. The people have come to view. The numbers are up, Stephen. We've got quite a show for you tonight, folks. We've got plenty of top news that has happened, and hey, guess what? There's a new president in town. I wonder how he's going to handle the unidentified aerial phenomenon menace that flies over our cities. Of course, they may not be menaces. We are certainly lovers of the extraterrestrial phenomenon here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister, and we would not want to agitate them in any way that may start an intergalactic war. Now let's get into some top stories for the evening, folks. Our first story of the night, coming out of Illinois, the first, what may very well be the first reporting of the Illinois Mothman. Now, we have been covering this extensively on the program, the existence of the Mothman that has been flying around Chicago's O'Hare International Airport, and it seems that sightings have been so common over the course of the past year. We featured it on our very first episode, and we've had numerous sightings since. Now, these sightings ramped up in just the first year, but this is a story reported to SingularFortean.com. This is a report coming in to the Singular Fortean Society recounting an event that happened in late July of 2008. The report from a witness named Ryan says the following. In July 2008, I was picked up from O'Hare International Airport at night by my husband and a friend of ours. We lived in Dubuque, Iowa at the time. We would usually head back to Iowa via Highway 20 towards Belvedere and Rockford, but we took a different route. I don't remember which one. I think our Garmin GPS device was taking us on an alternate route to avoid some construction because we saw signs for Belliot, Wisconsin. We tried navigating to get back towards Belvedere and Rockford. We were driving on a 2-lane highway outside the suburbs, and there were crop fields on either side of the road. It was semi-rural. I was looking off to the left and saw a winged creature fly above the crops on the left and fly straight across the road several yards in front of us. It disappeared over the field on the right side of the road. It had a wingspan of several feet. I did not see what the body looked like. The other people in the car saw it, but said it was just a large bat. It was much larger than a bat. The way it flew was more like a large bird, like an eagle. But it was gray and black. Attached to a map, I attached a map with an area where we were driving circled. Now, the map's not really the important part of the story. The sighting is more so the important part of the story. It's this large winged creature somewhere in northeastern Illinois as this man is leaving the Chicago International Airport. Now, one could surmise, given the recent sightings over the past year and the comparison by this man's friends, that this creature was just a large bat. Well, there aren't large bats aren't indigenous to the Chicago area, and it seems very likely that what this man found 10 years ago was a baby Mothman. A baby Mothman at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport, sighted in 2008. It'd be 12 years old now, and much more apt to be visual. Much more apt to grow into what it must be, to give the prescient warning of that area, to ward people away from whatever might happen at Chicago O'Hare International. The Mothman has been warning us about this. It has been appearing there and seemed to have been birthed into our dimension at that space in 2008. Perhaps a moth boy. It's not a moth baby, but a Mothman, but a moth boy. Yes, I think so. Can be. That's the first sighting of the moth boy. Birthed into our dimension in 2008, rising from the crop fields and over this car. Now, it makes sense that the original Mothman sightings in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, were not reported until it was a full-size creature. After all, things like the internet were not more present, and Point Pleasant, it's not to sound rude, but it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's a very, very rural area. It's not close to any major cities, unlike this sighting just outside of Chicago. There's a lot more people around. There's a lot more chances a moth boy could be sighted. So there we have the very first sighting of the Chicago O'Hare International Airport. And that's just very exciting news, and gives us a lot of information, I think, to ponder on when it comes to the moth boy, as to how long it has been around and how long it has been a part of our dimension, building up these energies that may be foretelling some awful event to happen at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport or that area. I'm not saying something specifically is happening at that airport. I should be very clear for the government agents that monitor this program. Our next top story of the night, coming from Harvard. Now, this is a very exciting new book release is coming out. So I suppose this one's a little more of a press release than a news story. But nonetheless, very exciting news for those of you UFO enthusiasts out there. The esteemed Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb has a new book coming out called Extraterrestrials, The First Sign of Intelligent Life Beyond Earth. Now, I don't want you people to think that let me rephrase. What I think is important to note here is this man is a Harvard scientist. These men are hardened skeptics. Tough, dirty scullies working at the Harvard Science Department. They think that the study of extraterrestrials and interdimensional beings, all these things, they think that's the work of a crank. They think that's hoo-ha. They think that's nonsense. They think it's a waste of their scientific time, their resources, and their credibility. And this man, the esteemed Harvard astronomer, like he's employed by the school, has a book coming out, Extraterrestrials, The First Sign of Intelligent Life Beyond Earth. Now, this first sign isn't tracking a bunch of, it does not include the Roswell incident. I think there are many first signs that occurred before this book, before what he thinks the inciting moment of all this was. But, to his credit, here's the description. In late 2017, scientists at a Hawaiian observatory glimpsed an object soaring through our solar system, moving so quickly that it could only have come from another star. Avi Loeb, Harvard's top astronomer, showed it was not an asteroid. It was moving too fast along a strange orbit and left no trail of gas or debris in its wake. There was only one conceivable explanation. The object was a pile of advanced technology, a piece of advanced technology created by a distant alien civilization. Well, what is a piece if not a pile of some sort of matter? An extraterrestrial, Loeb takes readers inside the thrilling story of the first interstellar visitor to be spotted in our solar system. He outlines his controversial theory and its profound implications for science, for religion, and for the future of our species and our planet. A mind-bending journey through the furthest reaches of space, science, space-time, and the human imagination, Extraterrestrial challenges readers to take aim for the stars and think critically about what's out there, no matter how strange it seems. Now, that's a moral we can get behind here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. And to this Harvard astronomer, if you've got to promote your show, promote your book anywhere, I invite you to come onto our program and tell us about what you've been able to discern about the Oumuamua object. Is what this piece of space object was named. It was discovered in Hawaii. And if you know the proper pronunciation to the show, you are invited to call in. The proper pronunciation of Oumuamua. You are invited to call in here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister and educate me on that. We've got the Zoom link in the chat. This is, of course, a call-in show. And there's plenty of news tonight. But if you have experienced anything strange that you can't quite figure out, that you're still working out in your mind, go ahead and call in, because we'd love to hear about it. Stephen, we'll go ahead and get that posted in the chat so folks can join the Zoom if they've got a story to share with us tonight. Of course, any news stories we don't get to tonight, we'll just get to next week. All right, here we go. The next top story of the night. The next top story of the night. Esteemed billionaire Robert Bigelow has put out a nearly $1 million reward for the evidence of life after death. Now, folks who study this field may be aware of Robert Bigelow. That name might ring a few bells. He was responsible for a number of fairly secretively funded, and by secretively it was just kind of him, projects that studied the UFO phenomenon, and he would eventually go on to purchase Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. For those who are not aware of Skinwalker Ranch is this space in Utah where there is this great big kind of gathering of evidence of paranormal phenomenon, and it's not in there. There's no real way to tell exactly what it is. A lot of it seems to be interdimensional. There have been some very gruesome cattle mutilations, creatures, family pets disappearing, absolutely losing their minds about certain things. It's all sorts of different occurrences here. Pieces of equipment on camera getting torn apart, but by an unseen force, everything looks normal on the video. And then they find the camera, the second camera that should be in the shot, and it's completely wrecked. All sorts of incredible interdimensional disruptions, for lack of a better term. Robert Bigelow bought this area, bought this land once he heard that there was something strange happening here, and just spent 20 years having people study this. And now he is allocating his resources as a billionaire away from Skinwalker. He sold that. He is kind of shifting gears right now, because for a long time after studying Skinwalker Ranch, he created the Bigelow Aerospace Group, and they worked with the CIA to study extraterrestrial phenomenon, unidentified flying objects. And so now, let's put it this way: there's a profile out by the New York Times all about this. Robert Bigelow's had a year, friends. At a certain point this year, just a couple months ago, Robert Bigelow's wife passed away from cancer, and he's found himself in the midst of a new focus. He's found this new focus, and he is trying to allocate his resources to find proof that there is, in fact, life after death, that our consciences go on and live on. And this is not quite the first time that he has done this. when Robert Bigelow was in, he had a son several years ago, about 20 years ago, back in the 90s. His son, well, I'm getting the timeline mixed up. In the early 90s, Robert Bigelow's son, at the age of about 20, committed suicide, and he was devastated by this, and then he tried to make contact. He and his wife started studying the consciousness state. He visited a medium and tried to get in touch with his son, and it is said that when he did this, he didn't necessarily feel that he had confirmed the existence of his son. Let me find exactly what he said. So it was fairly. I find the pool quote. I apologize for not having the pool quote set up. Oh,
do you need any help there?
I'm sorry, Stephen. Am I keeping you from your business?
I was just seeing if you needed any help finding that quote there, Cliff.
Yes, I suppose. It seems it would be silly for everyone to send you the link. Let's just say this. Let's just say this about the boy. He did not necessarily make contact when speaking with this medium, but he did get a sense that his son's life force was still out there, was somewhere out beyond its body, and then it was okay. It kind of put things to rest for him, but he still did not feel he had proof of an afterlife. And so now he is putting together this competition. This one I did get a pull quote for, Stephen. So no need to worry. Plan ahead for this part. This is being instituted by his new group, the Bigelow Institute for Consciousness Studies. Now, after his wife passed away this year, he started kind of reallocating his resources to figure out if there's life after death. And now he is holding a contest for anyone who can provide adequate proof. He says in this stage for his new afterlife contest, seeking the best available evidence. Oh, sorry. I read the wrong word. It set the stage for his afterlife contest, his wife dying, seeking the best available evidence for survival of consciousness with prizes of $500,000, $300,000, and $150,000 for first, second, and third place. The winners will be announced on November 1st. Entrants must qualify as serious researchers by February 28th with a record of at least 5 years of study of the field and preferably an affiliation with groups like the Society for Psychical Research in Britain. Submissions of up to 25,000 words are due by August 1st to be judged by a panel of specialists. Mr. Bigelow said he has no idea what the evidence might be, but it would be prejudicial to say. So he doesn't want to tip people off, but he does mention that later on in the article, he has kind of an idea of what he might be looking for as far as what constitutes evidence, but he doesn't want that to be exactly what they find. He doesn't want people looking to confirm his theory. He's not just trying to find yes men to prove to him that there is an afterlife. He wants to find evidence in some hardcore way. He wants to find real proof that his wife's consciousness is somewhere out there. And so he is offering those prizes. If you have an idea, if you have evidence of life after death, then by all means, call into Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister.
We want to know.
We want to know what happens when you die. And if you've experienced that, give us a call. We will be happy to hear about your experience right here on the show. And then maybe we'll forward it along to our good friend Robert Bigelow. Robert, keep up the great work with that psychic and that paranormal research that you're doing. You know, I bet you're wondering, what will happen to me when I die? What will become of my billions? What will keep me? what will I be remembered by? And will my studies in the paranormal ever really matter? Well, Robert, let me tell you something. If you're really looking to be remembered after you pass, give a bunch of money to Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. Look, let's not be, you know, I don't want to be ageist on the show, but Robert, my good friend, you're 75. And Cliff McCallister, spry 30 something. So you want to extend that life? Give us some resources. We will keep the research going, hearing from the people, from the true witnesses, broadcasting it out, because we can't keep doing these things in the dark. We can't keep keeping these things a secret. We've got to broadcast it out to the world, let people know what is being witnessed out there, what is happening out in our world. Steven, did we ever get the link in the chat? Let's go ahead and post the link in the chat one more time.
We got the link in the chat, but I'll post it again. Come on, everybody.
If you are new to this program, we take calls here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister from you, the viewer. Calls about extraordinary things that you can't explain, anything you've witnessed that you don't understand, ghosts, extraterrestrials, interdimensional beings, cryptids, strange dreams, strange visions of the future. Whatever it may be, we take your calls here on the program. We want to hear about it and broadcast it out to the world, because these things, as strange as they are, they ought to be normalized. People ought to know about these things. Call in and talk to me if you've experienced anything strange, or if you have proof of the afterlife. If you have actual proof of what happens, we want to hear it. And Robert Bigelow, if you want to give us some cash, you can always send us an email at strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. That is our anonymous tip line. If you want to send us information, but you don't feel comfortable calling in on the show, if you need to be anonymous for some reason, perhaps you're a high-ranking official in the CIA, and you know some things that are coming out, some things that might be coming about. You want to give us a little heads up? strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. And remember, you have full plausible deniability, because this is on the twitch.tv/Met Comedy Night channel, and people will most likely see us and they'll say, Met Comedy? They'll just think it's a silly joke. If you've got something so wild you don't think people will believe it, but you know it happened, send it to us at strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. There it is, strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. And you can also go ahead and get in touch with us by calling into the show. I'm also on Instagram at Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. Oh, we've got Caden Hamby is calling in. Look at that, a caller. I'm going to go ahead and admit them into the room. Steven is calling in. Look at that, a caller. I'm going to go ahead and admit them into the room. Steven is calling in. All right. Caden, I'm seeing you. Could you mute your Twitch? I'm hearing the show feed from somebody. Could you mute your Twitch? I'm hearing the show feed.
I'm a sound designer. I can figure this out. Yes.
I believe in you, Caden.
Hi.
Thank you for calling in. Can we go ahead and bring you on screen? Would that be all right?
Yeah, that's great.
All right. Thank you.
Hello.
Steven. Hello, Caden. How are you tonight?
Strange. Always.
Perfect.
So I don't even know how to lead up to this story, because it was the weirdest night of my life. I got screwed over by Jimmy Buffett in so many ways. I had to listen to a really bad cover band on the beach. None of the lights were on because it was turtle mating season and the babies had to crawl into the sea. So no lights were allowed to be on.
This is like a David Lynch beach party that you're describing to me already.
It was so bizarre, but I couldn't. Anyway, Jimmy Buffett never served me. He only served me alcohol, and then the kitchen staff left before my table was served. It was really fun. This is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Never go to Florida. But the weirdest part that the weirdest thing that I have not been able to wrap my head around, this happened several years ago, is that finally, like, midnight. I'm getting home to my hotel that I was staying at with the people I was with, and there's just a chicken in the road. There's just a chicken in the road of downtown Fort Lauderdale. And I said, "Where did you come from? Where did you go?"
Just a regular city
Just
chicken.
a regular chicken. Like, it stopped traffic. We all had to rubberneck. A real chicken, not a rubber chicken. And so I just wanted to know what you thought of that.
That is absolutely bizarre, Kaden.
It is.
Usually when you think of chickens, you think of them on a farm somewhere. And
Right.
out crossing the road in Fort Lauderdale
at midnight.
At midnight, a midnight chicken?
Yeah, and it was in like early March. Not pleasant out. I mean,
Yeah.
Florida was pretty good. But yeah.
This must be some sort of cryptid.
Right. Like, no one is talking about the Florida city chicken.
It's
like
the Florida feather boy.
Yes. And I was with about 8 different friends. We were all in a minivan we had rented. And the one sober one of us who was driving us home had to like loop around the block and be like, was this a collective hallucination? If it was a collective hallucination, we hallucinated it all twice because the chicken remained in the middle of a very busy 4-way intersection.
Now, Kaden, was this chicken, did it have any like distinguishing like marks? Like what did this chicken look like? Just like a normal chicken?
Its only distinguishing marks was its bravery. That's all.
The brave chicken.
The
brave little chicken.
The brave jaywalking chicken.
Incredible. It must have just appeared in the middle of the city there. I probably had no clue what it was doing.
Right. I'm like, did it walk? Was there like a wormhole in Iowa or something in a chicken coop? It went gobble, gobble, gobble. And then suddenly it was in Fort Lauderdale. I also felt a little bit like a chicken who had just been dropped in Fort Lauderdale. I didn't know where I was. I was out of my element. It was very strange.
Kaden, hear me out on this one.
Okay.
I think I figured this one out.
Okay.
As we were talking about earlier on the show, the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, where all these sorts of incredible like interdimensional phenomena has happened. This place, it's a ranch. There's some animals there. There's some cattle. There's sure to be, if there aren't chickens on the ranch, there are probably chickens in a nearby area that could have wandered onto the property. And at this time, I'm sure the middle of the night, a peak time for bizarre occurrences. And it must have dimensionally grabbed a chicken and plopped it right down into Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Right. I also have a working theory that because our one dream of that night was to have a true Margaritaville experience. And I guess the truest experience of all is waiting for 2 hours and still waiting to get a table for 2 hours and then still never being served, even after being seated. So maybe the chicken was Jimmy Buffett. Maybe he's got something going on where he was like, possibly. I need to apologize to these very hungry college students who are just trying to attend a technical theater conference in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and their evening was ruined.
And they're wasted away again in Margaritaville. One last question for you, Kaden.
Yes.
Well, I guess one last question for you. Where do you find that shaker of salt?
I can't. In my kitchen.
Salt. Any other bizarre...
Salt.
Thank you.
Salt.
Well, it was great chatting. I'm gonna go.
Thank you, Kate.
I made popcorn, and I've been eating it.
Oh well, enjoy. Well, I always encourage night snacking during the program.
Thank you for calling in.
Got my Gatorade. I'm set. All right.
Perfect. Have a wonderful night, Kaden. Thank you for calling in. All right. Wow. And there we go. See how easy it is to call into this show? How much fun we have right here on the program? Oh, let's see if I dropped out of my chat, and it doesn't seem like there are any questions from the audience there. Steven, let's go to a quick break, and when we return, more news. Life inside can do to pass the time. No laughs left to be had. All gone crazy. Well, bam! Guess what? Met Comedy Night is coming to Twitch. Heck, it's there right now, and you can join us every week with shows from the Comedy Pigs, Oh Crit, Strange Times Indeed, Over the Hump, and more. That's right, follow us on twitch.tv/MetComedyNight for all the laughter you need. Okay.
Cliff? Cliff, what happened? Cliff, you look frozen. Cliff, don't leave me hanging, Cliff. Are you okay? Talk to me. Bark twice if you're in Milwaukee. Oh no. Wherever could he be? Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! There I am, and there I am, and there I am. All over the place. Wow. Oh.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness gracious, Steven, you will not believe where I've just been.
What happened?
I caught a glimpse of our future.
No way.
I caught a glimpse of a future in which you're watching Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. I, of course, am your host, Cliff McCallister, the Czar of the Bizarre, and you are right here in the future. If you are just 2 seconds ahead of me, it's hard to say, but we are on a journey tonight. We've got so many news stories to share with you. Yes, take some deep breaths, everybody. It's all right. It's okay.
I'm glad you're okay,
Cliff. The Czar of the Bizarre. I am all right. They've not silenced me yet. I know there was a big fear right there. Whenever the feed cuts out here on Strange Times Indeed, you hear that? We figured out a mysterious midnight chicken appears in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And where else could it have come from but Skinwalker Ranch? New information about the ranch revealed right here tonight on the show, an exclusive example of phenomenon. And of course, the people studying that are going to try to shut us down. They're going to try to keep that a secret. They don't want that information getting out there. But here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister, we are unashamed to talk about the strange and the bizarre. We want to put it out there. We want to get that news out there so people know these weird things are happening. It's a public service we provide, and the phone line is always open to call. We will not be silenced. So thank you for tuning in. Now, viewers, we have a lot of top stories tonight, but before we go any further, I've got to say, this show, as always, this weekend, every week, is dedicated to the Maryland Ensemble Theater because they're the only theater with the guts to put us on the air. They're running a number of comedy shows right here on twitch.tv/MetComedyNight, and tomorrow night you can see Oh Crit, the D&D improv show, performing their signature Dungeons and Dragons style improv tomorrow, Friday night at 9 o'clock here on twitch.tv/MetComedyNight. It's hard to say what else is happening at the Met right now. Wait. I'm just getting word from the director. I'm getting word that the Maryland Ensemble Theater is currently offering ensemble school classes for all ages, and they are adult acting classes, and they are also improv classes, you can take those classes online. Register at marylandensemble.org. Thank you, Director. I might as well direct and introduce the director at this point. Some of you may have noticed him on the set for so long. But you do have a chip implanted in your head. Well, there's an important question right there. Do I have a chip implanted in my head from Prince of Boxes? No, I do not have a chip implanted in my head. I received these communications directly from the director. They are the one responsible for our show, making sure the program looks so good and gets out there. You may have seen the director because the director lives on set with me. Let's go ahead and zoom in a closer look at the director. There they are. I discovered the director out in the forest one day, and it beamed these incredible visions into my head. And I realized that this was an important cosmic being that could really help us get our show off the ground, that could really offer us the guidance we needed to make this thing look like the incredible shebang that it looks like, and get our message out to the world. So that is the director. It is where we get all our guidance. Wave to the director, viewers. Give him a little wave. There you go. All right, Ryan getting told to get on with the program, and there was no need to keep talking to the director. Does not like the attention to be on them too much. Wowie zowie, what a night we are having, and we are just getting into some really interesting news. As some of you may or may not know, we've covered this in recent episodes of the show, but because the year got off to a weird start, it kind of got buried in the news that was New Year's Eve. Now, that night, we were talking a little bit on the program about how in the latest coronavirus bill that got passed, the latest budget to handle that, the head of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Marco Rubio, surprising, this is probably the only good thing he's ever done in his life, puts a little sticky note on it in his role as the head of the Senate Intelligence Committee, places it on there, and it says, you know, you've got to disclose, the CIA and the government, the Department of Defense, that's the one, the Department of Defense needs to disclose everything they know about unidentified aerial phenomenon, UFOs. He puts this on there, and it gets passed in the bill. They have 180 days to do that. We are 5 months and 3 days away. On June 25th, 2021, that is the deadline for this information to come out. Now, this is very exciting that we may see some actual confirmation about what might be going on beyond our planet. But with that comes all sorts of theories and all sorts of words going around. And there is an important, I think, a very interesting explanation, not really explanation, but a theory about what might actually be being disclosed soon. It's related to the UFO phenomenon, but it's in some ways quite the opposite. Have you ever found yourself asking your friends the question, would you rather be in, what's more scary for you, being in space or being in the depths of the ocean? Both places where there might be like little places you could live, but if you were on a space station, I wonder like, what's the scariest one for you? If you find yourself asking that question, this information, this conspiracy theory, is not necessarily of the space kind, but still relates to unidentified aerial phenomenon. So let's get into this, because this is some interesting stuff that might be coming around the bend soon. This was posted to the Reddit page, the Reddit conspiracy page. So think of that what you will. I mean, in some ways, it's very much like what we do here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. Anyone can share their story on the Reddit conspiracy page or the Reddit UFO page. Anyone can call in and share their story here. So this is a story that we're sharing for you tonight. This is what the post reads. The title is I know someone that works for NOAA. The disclosure rumors are 100% true, and the species in question is aquatic. I don't expect anyone to believe me, and that's fine. I know a lot of BS gets posted here for shits and giggles. I'm just sharing a story from a few weeks ago that I feel is relevant due to all the disclosure talk. I have a college friend that landed a job working for NOAA in a pretty high capacity. Now, this is like the group of the government that tracks like hurricanes and weather phenomenon. The friend from college works at the NOAA in a pretty high capacity. I won't say more than that to protect their privacy. Around the holidays, me and said friend were catching up and they shifted the topic to aliens. This friend is very level-headed and we usually don't talk about stuff like that. It's mostly family talk and work. They asked if I believed in aliens, to which I replied that I'd like to, but we simply don't have enough evidence. Their expression perked up and they said, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to take me absolutely serious. Okay, where is this going? I thought. They never seemed so intense in a conversation before, so I braced for some kind of huge personal reveal or something. But they started talking about the Russian submarine incident that happened not too long ago, where supposedly a fire broke out and on board a nuclear-powered Russian sub and killed everyone on board. They also said these beings actively keep us out of certain parts of the ocean. Apparently, their technology is advanced beyond anything we could come up with to withstand... Yes, okay. To withstand, negate, and the insurmountable pressures at extreme ocean depths. They are able to freely enter or exit the water in their craft without displacing or disturbing it physically. They've been captured in numerous times on sonar, traveling at speeds underwater that are impossible as far as human technology or marine biology is concerned. They also mentioned a place called Lake Vostok and said a very large base was discovered there under the ice and that Russians have control over the operation there. They said that was a cover story that Putin came up with for what actually happened. Okay, this skipped around one thing. When the submarine blew up, they said that was a cover story that Putin came up with for what actually happened. The sub was apparently investigating an underwater base that is controlled by non-human entities. They got too close and the sub was destroyed by these beings. My friend went on to detail how most world governments are aware of their presence and yet keep it undisclosed because of the ramifications to society that it may have. Also, because we can't do anything to stop or forcefully reveal them. They told me that the NOAA has had thousands of incidents of contact with these underwater beings and that it's fairly common knowledge amongst certain departments and roles in the organization. They said they have witnessed video, audio, and physical evidence of these beings residing under our oceans, but it is kept under tight wraps by senior officials and whatever government sector controls NOAA. The friend said the recent disclosure buzz is legit and had been carefully planned. They said they don't know exactly what details will be provided to the public, but that in general, it will be made known that there are other beings occupying our planet and that they are not from another planet, but have been here long before us. My friend also detailed that they have been witnessed outside any craft, swimming in the ocean freely by submersible divers and cameras at the bottom of oil rig platforms. They are humanoid and resemble what most people would call a typical gray alien. Oversized head, large dark eyes, no visible ears, small mouth. It's not known how they breathe and move underwater. That's pretty much most of what I was told. They didn't give a date, they just said it will definitely be this year according to what they have been hearing. Apparently, this is going to be a worldwide disclosure and not a US-specific thing. So there you have it. A very fascinating theory that there may in fact be a whole society, advanced mer people I'm seeing in the chat, but these mer people described to become more similar to the gray extraterrestrials. And this may seem like a very far-fetched theory. It seems, it sounds extravagant, it sounds wild. Atlantis, like the Atlanteans, absolutely. Residing underwater, but perhaps there are more of them. More so than we even know about. Sure, there's this one in this lake that the Russians are investigating, but where else? We've got a whole world of water. There's more water on this world than there is Earth. Who's to say there couldn't be anything under there? Well, if you're thinking this guy must have made this up, this sounds preposterous, here's what I want you to think about. Earlier this year on this program, one of our field agents, Sparky, gave me a tip about a book that he received at the Wonder Book and Video where he was employed at the time and may be employed today. This book, titled Invisible Residence, written by Ivan T. Sanderson. Now, this is a man who has studied abominable snowmen. He has studied other, like, extraterrestrial crafts, but this book, Invisible Residence, in its full, complete title, is called Invisible Residence, the Disquisition upon Certain Matters Maritime and the Possibility of Intelligent Life Under the Waters of this Earth. Now, this seems to be exactly what this man on Reddit is describing. Oh, boop, is the Bermuda Triangle a warning? Well, here's the thing. We'll get to that in a minute. Remember the Bermuda Triangle. Now, this book we got earlier this year, this is actually where our Frey, a little behind-the-scenes fun fact, this is actually where we get, when we say our theater is dedicated, our show is dedicated to the Maryland Ensemble Theater because they're the only theater with the guts to put us on the air. Let me read to you the dedication of Invisible Residence by Ivan T. Anderson. This book is dedicated to our publishers for having the guts to publish it. Now, if that's not an attitude I can't get behind, I don't know what else is. Now, this book details incidents of craft exiting the water. What he specifically says at one point in this book, right here, for instance, it may come as somewhat a shock to all of these good people to learn that by actual count, over 50% of all so-called sightings of UFOs have occurred over, coming from, going away over, or plunging into or coming out of water. That this fact is known to officialdom is manifest from their official publications, but they seem to have left this aquatic factor out of their statistical analysis. In other words, they have been keeping damned quiet about this business, and probably, as I will endeavor to demonstrate, for very good reasons indeed. Not only pointed out here in Invisible Residence by Ivan T. Anderson, this book was written and published in the year 1970. So before you think that this theory going around on Reddit is just some wild, crazy theory about underwater civilizations, the research is there. This is not the first people have talked about this. We are going to be looking into this book more on a future episode. I'm going to be reading through the whole thing. We will either provide updates, as we did with the Who Killed Marilyn series, perhaps. Really breaking down the theory into a multi-part series. In fact, you know what? That's the commitment we're making tonight. A new bi-weekly series here on the show. Because this book, if you look at the table of contents, it's broken down into 3 parts. A 3-part series, Underwater Invisible Residence, and could this conspiracy theory about the NOAA having contact with an advanced underwater species really hold water? Of course, the full title for the series will be a little shorter than that. But we'll hold that, a new bi-weekly series, to get into that theme. And we'll break down through parts 1, parts 2, and parts 3 of Invisible Residence by Ivan T. Anderson, famed cryptozoologist and biologist. I will share with you one thing, just as a teaser, for what part 2 will hold. Part 2 contains 3 sub-chapters, and they are titled 10. Some facts, the disposition of anomalies. 11. Some more facts, whirligigs and vortices. And 12. Still more facts, our hydrosphere. Now, this book also gets into the Bermuda Triangle, and what I do find interesting, because as this information seems to be coming out about an underwater civilization backed by research done years ago by Ivan T. Anderson, but not in any way connected, and is no way cross-referenced in this Reddit posting. One could assume that the two are independent, but where the two line up is where it seems that there might be a correlation. And interestingly enough, with all this hubbub about underwater civilizations, I think it's important to note that at the very tail end of 2020, one of the last events of that year, but one that did not make much mainstream news, that did not really get much attention, is that a boat carrying 20 people headed to arrive in Florida disappeared within the Bermuda Triangle. Just at the end of 2020, you think you don't hear about it anymore. When boats disappear in the Bermuda Triangle, it doesn't make the news. People don't talk about it anymore. You might assume that it just stopped happening. You stopped the Bermuda Triangle, that suspicion has been settled. There's nothing to worry about there. And still, at the end of this year, Erica might be bees.
Yes!
Now, this is an informed viewer. This is somebody who's following along. They say, I see what's happening here. The NOAA is covering up some kind of underwater civilization. There's evidence about this. This has something that has been studied. Reports are trickling out as water does, and I want to get that information. So Erica might be bees, whatever it was. Thank you so much for following us on the show and pledging to stay informed here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. Now, just at the tail end of 2020, like I was saying, a boat disappears in the Bermuda Triangle, carrying 20 people. It's not said what is on this boat. It is not disclosed by the authorities what the boat's business was. It's just traveling into Florida, and it disappears. This close to a potential disclosure of an underground civilization with advanced technology capable of blowing up a nuclear submarine, not to mention existing underwater for longer than we've been around? Who's to say who's on that boat? Who's to say who these people might be? Who's to say this isn't some scientific mission to dip into this underwater society? After all, the U.S. Coast Guard called off the search on January 2nd. They searched through the area within the Bermuda Triangle. They called it off. They could not find them. Where are they? And is it connected to this underground society, this underwater society? We're going to be studying that in our three-part bi-weekly series on invisible residents and the underwater world. And if you've got information about this underwater world, if you work for NOAA, send your tips to strangetipsindeed@gmail.com if you don't want your name revealed. But you can also call in on the show with your theories. What do you think this underwater society is really like? There seems to be a lot that could be going on here. We're going to get into the details. We're going to share that information with you on the show. And we want to hear your thoughts as we go through this series. So big news day, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things to talk about. I'd like to close on a fun news story for you all. One last story. It doesn't necessarily pertain to extraterrestrials or interdimensional beings, but I think it's a light way to close the night because it's a fun story about dinosaurs. We're always learning more about dinosaurs. What were they? Where'd they come from? They're almost extraterrestrial in their own way, in their own mystery. We've certainly never seen one, but we find evidence of it. And my friends, great news for you tonight. The first preserved dinosaur butthole has been found.
What?
A perfectly preserved dinosaur butthole has been found, Stephen.
No way.
And the paleontologist who has discovered it, who has found it, he describes this butthole as being perfect and unique.
Oh, perfect.
Just like every one of our viewers here on Strange Times Indeed with
Oh, that's great news.
And unique in your own way. This was a multi-purpose hole, Stephen.
It had to be.
It truly was. This was a hole. This was a hole capable of pooping, peeing, breeding, and egg laying.
That's incredible.
A multi-purpose hole.
That's so incredible.
And it has been perfectly preserved. We have this beautiful idea of the perfect and unique butthole that every dinosaur had, and each one of our viewers likely has in their own way.
It's the oldest hole in the whole world. I mean, who wouldn't think that's cool? Come on.
Absolutely. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Let's see what people are saying. So did the Spy Kids. Spy Kids predicted the thing. Bermuda Triangle was a warning. James Bond had a car that drove underwater. Yes.
I see all holes. All holes are perfect and unique.
People are going off about the buttholes in the chat, Stephen. Yes, this news is better than I could have dreamed. Is it a cloaca? That, or however that's pronounced, a prototype? Yes, much like a bird's butthole. That is the scientific term that is used in the article. It is described as being like that. And many who have studied dinosaurs do say that dinosaurs kind of evolved into the modern bird. So it makes sense that they would have similar buttholes.
That might be how they they can link them even better now because they have another butthole to study.
Here's a funny one. Here's a fun one. A fun comment in the chat from Prince of Boxes says, multi-purpose hole is my OnlyFans profile. If you're an OnlyFan of Cliff McCallister, you can join us on Instagram at Strange Times Indeed or Twitter at Strange T Indeed. Those are places for my OnlyFans. We do special Instagram shows there. Maybe I'll pick out a chapter from Invisible Residence and read that on Instagram Live for you to enjoy. That's where we had our bonus New Year's Eve show with a full countdown. That's where we did our Christmas Eve program. We did our Prometheusmas Christmas special. Follow us there. You'll get all sorts of extra content. If you've been enjoying the show, you get to see behind the scenes. You'll get messages from the director beamed right to you. You don't want to miss those director drops.
Hey, Cliff.
So be sure to follow us there. Yes, Stephen. Stephen, the vertical hold is shifting on your device.
I saw that. I was wondering what was going on. I think maybe the wormhole was trying to come back. I don't know, but there's a lot of comments earlier in the chat that you appear to have missed complimenting my wardrobe. Even someone, Clark Quant, wants to wear my new fashion statement as a Halloween costume, and I've been called Steve Ernie. I've been seeing, the 2021's fashion is really got off to a huge start. So this is all the rage right now. I've seen people wearing this all over the world, and it's gone crazy over the past day. Yeah, so it doesn't matter what the occasion is. This is the appropriate outfit.
I suppose so, Stephen. I could see someone wearing something like that to a presidential inauguration. Even it's high fashion.
You most certainly. And 2021, baby. Yes you can.
Yes, you can. It's 2021. I want to thank the Maryland Ensemble Theater for having the guts to put us on the air. I want to thank our technical director, Stephen Craig. I want to thank our director, the director. And I want to thank each and every one of you viewing. I want to thank Caden, who called in tonight. Always great to have a caller with this interdimensional chicken traveling. from Skinwalker Ranch, an incredible story. Each and every one of you tonight, go home, get some rest. You're hopefully already there. But as you tuck yourself in for the night, remember that much like the one that was perfectly preserved, each and every one of you are a perfect and unique dinosaur butthole. For Strange Times Indeed, I'm Cliff McCallister, the Czar of the Bizarre. Stay strange, terrestrials.